Good evening, my dear friends. I welcome you all to the Hindu and the Businessline editorial analysis on July 21st, 2022. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has taken charge. The presidential elections have selected this one party member as the president of Sri Lanka. Ranil Wickremesinghe has stated that he is going to seek the public opinion, the consensus of the public in managing Sri Lanka's economic affairs. The political and economic tumultuous situation in Sri Lanka is a very difficult one, and he would have taken public into consensus, and the consent of the public would have been sought before the presidential selection of him as the president of Sri Lanka. As a prime minister, he has done very little to see to it that Sri Lanka's economic worries are quelled. The International Monetary Fund, when it is going to deal with Sri Lanka, is going to impose a lot of conditions which will be very difficult to implement, and who knows, these kinds of the Bretton Woods institutions conditions are going to be very big impediments for a public relation with the raging public now. India on its stand had helped Sri Lanka by sending around $4 billion worth of materials. However, China had done on its little just $75 million worth of help. India rose to the occasion and is becoming the friend of Sri Lanka now. Then, the maternal mortality rate, the number of women dying out of child deliveries out of a total of 1 lakh is a great concern. The women's access to health and nutrition are the determining factors for the maternal mortality rate. As per the International Institution for Population Studies, taken from the SRS, that is Status Registration Sample Registration Services, and the census data, the analysis was made and have seen a very heterogeneous distribution of maternal mortality rate across India. In northeastern states, especially Assam, has recorded a maternal mortality rate of 215 mothers. In southern India and Maharashtra, the maternal mortality rate is within the 70 range. That is, of the Millennium Development Goals, Sustainability Development Goals rate, that is the target. So, Sustainable Development Goals target is 70 deaths in a year. That has been achieved about around 70% of the 640 districts in India have achieved this. However, still greater mortality rate of 200 plus in northeastern states is a cause of concern. The women's access to nutrition and health services is a major factor contributing to the maternal mortality rate, and this has to be reined in. Then, the schools have opened and children are back to school. The school health services is a very bigger picture of the school children's basic necessities of healthy development in the school, which is to be focused. The school health services are often confused with the medical services provided to the children. The children do not need very big focus of medical services because the disease rate among children is very less. However, the school health services in the form of better better dental, eye care, the mental health, the sleeping habits of the children, and the inactivity, the lack of physical exercise, all this contribute to the health needs of the children. So, the WHO and the major UNESCO and UNICEF have focused on the healthcare needs of the children in school and have just raised the objectives of school health as early detection, then improvement in the health of the children, the early treatment of the diseases, and general well being of the children. The parents and teachers and even the politicians, the education policy, the budgetary allocations all have to come together to provide the basic healthcare needs of the children. The children basic healthcare needs will see that there are certain habits which have to be stopped in the early childhood. That is sleeping patterns. From the early childhood itself, the sleeping patterns, if it is regulated, it will help to make the child grow into a grown up with healthy sleeping patterns. Similarly, is the case with the addiction. The addiction has to be addiction to certain no or certain harmful items should be arrested at the childhood itself, so that it does not grow up uh, in the later age. As a growing up person, the addictions should stop. Then physical inactivity. It is often said that physical inactivity is being the main healthcare issue of children. So when they grow up, the physical inactivity can be just corrected in the childhood itself, so that when they grow up they benefit from this. Then the mental activity, the stigma related to the mental activity of children, the mental health of the children should be taken care of in the school itself. So budgetary allocations have to flow. Then the participation of the community has to be ensured. Then the politicians all should look at the future of the children and involve in healthcare needs. Then India Vietnam partnership is entering its 50th year. India is having the maritime trade to the tune of 70% of the volume of trade and 90% of the value of trade. So India's maritime partner, that is Vietnam, in the South China Sea, is a strategic partnership, strategic and defense partnership. India has had several strategic cooperation and economic cooperation with Vietnam, and there was a policy document, a joint statement on defense partnership penned between India and Vietnam in 2020, and the China's disputes with Vietnam in the South China Sea and maritime disputes, India is focusing on its pacifying the disputes in the South China Sea legitimately and with a international law kept in mind, and it is also entering with the partnership with Vietnam through multilateral platforms, that is strategic platforms, frameworks like BIMSTEC, then ASEAN, then South Ring organizations. So these are the initiatives by India and Vietnam in ensuring that the nationalist interest of India and the threat from the potential threats from the maritime security threats in the South China Sea is countered along with Vietnam. So, the nationalist agenda of India and venturing more and more into the maritime security aspects to counter any possible force in the South China Sea is also a strategy which helps India and Vietnam to come together. Then, moving on to the business line, the 5G spectrum has seen the duopoly arising again. The duopoly means the economic situation in which only two players are there in the market. So, duopoly of Reliance Jio and Airtel is again emerging. The Reliance Jio has provided an EMD, earnest monetary deposit of around 11,000, which will make it fetch a 9 times order spectrum of around 1 lakh 25 crores of the spectrum. And the Airtel has invested a 9,500 crores of 4,500 crores of EMD, which will help it to fetch a 49,500 crores worth of spectrum. The other players are also there, like Adani has stepped in with a 500 crores investment in the EMD, and Vodafone has also stepped in with a minimal investment. However, the duopoly with Reliance Jio and then the Airtel is still holding the market together. The BSNL is not at all interested in 5G because it has already not installed the 4G services. So, the question of foraying into the 5G space doesn't arise for BSNL. BSNL must be promoted as a very the robust state-owned enterprise, because the BSNL can hold the key for many of the developmental objectives in the 5G space. The 5G space offers the Internet of Things and telesurgery. The Internet of Things is the communication between devices which are not connected. So this will make a revolutionizing aspect in the 5G spectrum space, and it will create a very great contribution to the several sectors including medical sector. The levies of the internet service providers, that is telecom service providers, must be brought to a very reduced level, because already since October 2021 the levies, the charges of the telecom, that is telephone services, has increased by 40%. In this duopoly situation, the consumers will be caught with no option but to opt these to Airtel or the Jio services, and what will happen is that the charges will be unbearable. So this is a very big problem which is going to face the telecom sector. So the millions of people have already switched off their telecom services because of the heavy price on the telecom services. So if this is allowed, this kind of trend is allowed, it will again make way for heavier levies to be made. Then the dollar's role as the hegemonic currency has come down, because many countries are opting out of dollar, because the Richard Nixon in 1971 had put an end to the Bretton Woods Act, which had created the dollar dominance, and 44 countries were just adopting dollar. After the Nixon's efforts to reduce the dominance of dollar, it was reduced to 85% of the total holding of the reserves. Now the dollar reserves are to the tune of 56%. Once upon a time, US were very dominant in international trade with 13% of the international trade going through US. However, now China is occupying this position because it is having around 12% of the international trade going through China. Now US share of the international trade has come down to 8%. So, but India cannot altogether throw away the dollar because many of the borrowings are denominated in dollar, and India has to stick to dollar for some time, and while encouraging the rupee exports and imports and the borrowers to opt for rupee borrowings. Hence, a very fundamental or phenomenal shift from the dollar is not possible for India now, but many countries are opting out of dollar. China is just deregulating the yuan and making it the inflation rated exchange value. It is going for a floating the yuan as a inflation denominated exchange value. Hence, the deregulation of the currencies is happening, but India has to take many steps to reach to the dollar independent state still now. Friends, I have come to the conclusion of today's analysis of the Hindu and the Businessline. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. Stay tuned to my channel. Tomorrow I will come with some more analysis. Till then, take care. Good night.